After the apocalypse, the world was broken. Cities were gone. Roads were cracked. Skies were gray. Machines stopped working. People disappeared. Some died. Some ran. Some just vanished in silence. But in the middle of the ruined market where nothing moved and even the wind had grown quiet, there was one small food stall. And smoke still rose from it. Juno stood behind that stall. He was young. His clothes were old, but clean. His hands moved fast, cooking something on a strange-looking stove. The smell, it wasn't smoke. It was delicious, rich, warm, like something from the old world before everything ended. His eyes watched the road while he cooked. He didn't say much, just worked. Flip, stir, sizzle, wait, then serve, even though no one came. Every day, Juno lit the fire. Every day, he cooked, alone. Until today, he heard a sound. Not wind. Not water. Footsteps. But not human. They were soft, but sharp like claws. And then, he saw them. They came from the fog, tall, thin figures. They weren't like any creatures from Earth. Their skin shimmered with strange colors: blue, silver, green. Their eyes glowed. Their ears pointed. And they were all female. Alien girls. 7 of them. They moved slowly, like they hadn't eaten in days. Their bodies were elegant, but weak. Their eyes locked onto Juno's pan, watching the steam rise from the food. Juno didn't speak. He just turned the food once more and placed it in a bowl. One alien stepped forward. Her name, later he would learn, was Valari. She was the tallest. Her eyes were purple. She wore a cloak made of some alien fiber that shimmered like stars. She didn't pull a weapon. She didn't growl. Instead, she placed a glowing cube on the counter. It buzzed with energy. Trade, she said in a calm voice. Juno raised an eyebrow. For what? Valari nodded toward the food. 1 bowl. He looked at the cube. It was alien tech, probably powerful. Maybe worth a spaceship. He shook his head. No need. Sit. I'll serve. Valari paused. The other girls stepped back. In surprise. No payment. She asked. Just eat. He gave her the bowl. Valari sat on the broken stone and ate with her hands. 1 bite, and her eyes widened. She swallowed and took another bite, faster this time. The others watched with hunger and confusion. Valari finished quickly, then looked up. This flavor, it's not possible. Not anymore. Juno smiled a little. Family recipe. More girls stepped forward, each offering something. 1 gave a crystal. 1 gave a small silver sphere that floated. Another pulled off a ring that glowed on her finger. Juno refused all. I don't sell food, he said. I feed people, soon. They were all eating, sitting in the dirt, in a circle around the stall, laughing softly, crying quietly. Valari looked at him again. You're not just a cook. What are you? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the back of the stall. Behind a curtain was a metal door, old, rusted, locked. He opened it slowly, and smoke poured out from below. Valari saw it. Her eyes narrowed. Where do you get your ingredients? He turned his head slightly. Some things didn't die with the world, but your vegetables are fresh. Your spices taste like earth before the fall. No farms grow now. No sun gives life. And no chef I've met on any planet makes food like this. Juno didn't speak. She stepped closer. Who are you hiding back there? A faint humming sound came from behind the door. Something was alive. Suddenly, a crash echoed in the distance. Everyone turned. Far on the edge of the ruined city, a ship was descending. Fast, sharp, military. Valari stood quickly. We have to go. Juno stayed calm. They won't harm me. Valari grabbed his wrist. They will take everything. Your food, your tools, even your blood if it makes flavor like that. Juno looked at the incoming ship and then whispered, let them come. The stars above Earth flickered in silence. Alien ships hovered at a distance, but none dared to come close to Juno's stall. Inside the broken market, the fire had burned low, but the smell still danced in the air. Valari sat beside the food stall, staring at the plate she had licked clean. Hours ago, her stomach was full, but her mind was spinning. That taste, it wasn't just food. It was memory. It was life, and it should not exist. She looked at Juno. He was asleep, back against the wall, arms crossed, calm, peaceful. To peaceful. Valari stood up slowly. She didn't want to steal. She just wanted to know. She walked behind the stall, where the metal door was hidden behind hanging cloth. She touched it gently. It was warm. She pushed. It didn't open, but the wall beside it hummed. Valari pressed her hand against the wall. A soft click, then a low grind. A hidden panel slid open. There was a stairway leading underground. She hesitated. Then stepped down. The tunnel below was dark and warm. Pipes ran along the walls. The floor smelled like spices and steel. The deeper she went, the more she felt like she was inside something alive. Then she heard it. A bubbling, a stirring, a soft mechanical heartbeat. And in the center of the underground chamber she saw it. A large tank, half metal, half flesh, glowing softly. Inside, long arms moved, stirring, mixing, chopping. The ingredients floated: fresh vegetables, rare spices, glowing herbs, even liquid from strange canisters. It was a cooking machine, but it breathed. It breathed. Valari stepped closer. One of its arms reached out toward her, not to hurt, just to offer. It held out a small dish. Steam rose from it. She took it. A small taste, one drop, and again her mind exploded with memory, with warmth, with home, even though this wasn't her home. This was magic. This was history. This was something older than war. She dropped the spoon. "What is this?" she whispered. A voice came from behind her. "It's not just a machine," Juno said softly. "It's a living recipe." She turned fast. He wasn't angry. He was calm. "It grew after the war," he said. "I built it, with my father. He was a food scientist, not just any, the last one." Valari's hands shook. "But this tastes like the past." Juno nodded. "Because it remembers." He walked to the tank and placed a hand on it. "This thing is made of memory," he said. "We fed it every taste, every spice, every feeling tied to food. It doesn't just cook, it remembers the way food made people feel. That's the real ingredient." Valari's voice was low. "That's why the food is so powerful. That's why alien girls cry when they eat it." Juno looked at her. "They don't just want food. They want to feel alive again." But suddenly an alarm echoed through the chamber. Beep, beep, beep. Juno's face went dark. Valari asked quickly, "What is it?" He ran to a screen. On it a ship was landing nearby. Not alien, not friendly. Human markings. Military class. Cold, old, dangerous. Valari's eyes widened. "I thought Earth had no more human armies," Juno whispered. "They're not armies. They're harvesters. They don't protect. They steal what's left." Above, outside the stall, the ground shook. Valari pulled out her weapon. "We fight." Juno looked at the machine, then at the stairs. "No," he said. "We feed them." Valari blinked. "What?" He smiled just a little. "We feed them something they can't control, something that changes them." She stared at him like he was insane, but he was already pulling ingredients from shelves. The machine stirred faster. The smell filled the tunnel again. Valari stood at his side. "If we survive this," she whispered, "I'll never eat anywhere else." The air was hot, not from the fire, but from something deeper, something alive. Valari stood at the edge of the metal chamber underground. She had followed Juno before, but this time, she came alone. She had waited until the others were asleep. The alien girls, the hungry ones. Even Juno was resting upstairs. She had to see it again. Her hand reached for the wall panel. She pressed it. Click. The door slid open. Steam hit her face. Inside, the light was red, soft, almost like blood. The large tank in the center of the chamber pulsed. It didn't just glow, it moved. It was breathing. Valari stepped closer. The tank was covered in vines, mechanical ones, tubes and roots that pulsed with liquid. The arms moved in rhythm. One stirred, one chopped, one tasted, one wrote. Yes, it was writing. On a glowing screen. Recipes. Thoughts, memories. Valari whispered, "This is not a machine." Then a voice spoke low, metallic, female, soft. "Hello again, Valari." She jumped. The machine was talking. "You speak?" she asked, heart racing. The voice came again. I remember all who taste me. Valari stepped back. Are you AI? The tank pulsed again. I am not code. I am cooked memory. I was born from love and hunger. Valari's hand shook. Who built you? Then, footsteps. Juno entered, quiet as the wind. He didn't look surprised. You found her voice. Valari turned to him. What is this thing, Juno? He walked up to the tank and placed both palms on it like touching a sleeping child. This is my mother. Valari froze. What? Juno nodded. My father was a scientist, a chef, a dreamer. When the world fell apart, he refused to let flavor die. My mother, she was a memory keeper. She had perfect taste, perfect recall. She recorded everything she ever ate. She was dying, and he didn't want to lose her. So he built. This. Valari's eyes widened. Her brain, not her brain, Juno said softly. Her palate, her feelings, her soul. She didn't become the machine, but her memories became the code. The machine stirred again. I remember the last cake she made. It said. It made him cry. Valari felt cold and warm at the same time. This is insane. She whispered, this isn't just food. This is resurrection. Then suddenly, the lights blinked. An alarm rang. On the screen, motion detected. Outside, Juno ran to the top stairs. Valari followed. Outside, the stall shadows moved in the dust. Not ships, drones, dozens of them, black, silent, watching. Scouts, Juno said. They're marking our location. Valari stepped forward. Should we run? Juno didn't answer. He just turned to the stall and said, wake her up. The tank below glowed brighter. The arms moved faster. The entire stall seemed to come alive. Smoke, spice, flame. One by one, the alien girls woke up. Juno, they asked. He looked at them calmly. Guests are coming. And then, from the horizon, the collector appeared. Not a ship. Not a man. Something tall, thin, wrapped in metal and wires, floating. It had no face, only a screen that blinked. It spoke with static. Food, source, detected. Surrender, or be harvested. Valari pulled her blade. But Juno smiled. He stepped forward and said softly, let me offer you a taste, first. Dust swirled in the broken street. The alien girls stood behind the food stall, holding weapons, their hands shaking. The collector said nothing more. It didn't need to. It pointed. The ground shook. Drones surrounded the area, scanning, glowing, arming weapons. Valari whispered, Juno, we should run. But Juno stepped back and pulled a hidden lever on the side of the stall. Suddenly the floor cracked open. A massive platform dropped under their feet. The entire stall sank into the earth. Walls slid closed above them, hiding all signs of their escape. The girls screamed softly, but Juno stood calm in the center of the platform. Welcome, he said, to the heart of old Earth. As they descended, lights blinked on. Not cold, white lights, warm yellow ones. Like candles, like home. Then the platform stopped. The doors opened, and what they saw took their breath away. It was a lab, but not like any Valari had seen in space. This place looked like a mix of a garden, a kitchen, and a museum. There were trees growing under lights, tomatoes on vines, basil leaves swaying, mushrooms glowing in glass tubes. Old cookbooks floated in magnetic fields. Digital recipe scrolls played above flickering screens. There was even a small pond in the center with fish, real fish. Valari walked forward in awe. But nothing should grow on Earth anymore. Juno nodded. It shouldn't. But this place remembers how things used to grow, and it teaches itself how to grow them again. He pointed to a long wall of drawers. Each drawer was labeled Earth spices, recovered memory palettes, human-tested emotion-infused dishes. Prototype. Valari opened one. Inside was a small jar. She opened the lid. The smell hit her heart. She dropped the jar. That's my childhood. She whispered. Juno walked up behind her. That's the lab's true power. It doesn't just recreate flavor, it restores the feeling behind it. Another alien girl stepped forward, opening a container. Inside bread, still warm, fresh baked. She cried, I haven't seen real bread since my planet fell. Juno replied quietly, this is not just about hunger, it's about memory, hope, Culture. That's why the collector is here. Valari turned to him. What does it want? He looked up at a red blinking screen on the far wall. It wants to strip this place, to sell the recipes, to erase the story, to control the feeling of comfort so it can sell it back to the galaxy. Suddenly, the lab lights dimmed. A voice cold and robotic spoke from hidden speakers. Lockdown initiated. Collector has breached Layer 1. Juno ran to the control board. The collector had found the entrance. It was scanning for emotion encoded. Memory dishes. It wasn't after weapons. It wanted flavor with history. Valari grabbed Juno's arm. Then we fight. He shook his head. No, we feed it something it can't swallow. He turned to the memory oven, the one only his mother had used. Juno placed a new dish inside. As it cooked, the entire lab pulsed. The room went warm. The smell rose sweet, sharp, and sad. Valari asked softly, "What are you making?" He whispered, "The last dish my mother ever cooked for my father. The one that made him cry." Up above, the collector broke through the first level. Down below, the oven door opened. Juno picked up the small, shining plate, steam rising, golden light swirling around it. He turned to Valari. "If this doesn't stop him, nothing will." In the dark heart of the galaxy, on a planet made of obsidian and fire, she stood. Tall, silent, wrapped in armor made from the bones of 10 worlds. Her name was Queen Zelana of the other races. She had destroyed planets for less than a whisper. But today, a message came to her throne. A message that made her pause. Earth still has flavor. She did not speak. She just turned, raised her hand, and an entire war fleet launched into the stars. Back on Earth, Juno stood beside his underground stall, holding the memory dish in his hands. The collector had floated silently since tasting the food. Then click, its face screen cracked. Smoke hissed from its body. Its voice glitched. Memory overload. Cannot contain emotional weight. The collector screamed and exploded. The alien girls ducked. The lab shook. Juno didn't flinch. Valari looked at him in awe. "You destroyed it. With a meal." He set the dish down. "I didn't destroy it. The truth inside the taste did." But peace didn't last long. Hours later, alarms rang again. This time, not drones. Not collectors, but ships. Dozens. Alien. Royal. The skies above Earth opened as golden vessels arrived, shining like fallen suns. At the front, her ship descended, a ship shaped like a crown. The War Queen stepped out alone. She did not wear a helmet. Her face was sharp, regal, inhuman but beautiful. Her skin glowed like starlight, her eyes pure fire. The alien girls fell to their knees. Valari whispered, trembling, "That's her, Queen Zelana." She walked forward without guards, without fear. Her eyes locked on Juno. "You cooked it," she said. Juno wiped his hands on a towel. "Yes." She looked down at the plate the collector failed to digest. She picked it up with both hands and ate. Silence. Then a single tear rolled down her cheek. She had not cried in 500 years. Everyone froze. She looked at Juno with a softness no one had ever seen in her eyes. "This taste, it was in my childhood," she said. "But I am not from Earth." Juno nodded. "Memory doesn't care where you're from. It lives in the feeling, not the planet." The queen stood tall again. "I could conquer you," she said. "Right now." Juno didn't move. "But I won't." "Why?" Valari asked. Queen Zelana looked around. "Because this food can conquer hearts, and I fear that more than any army." She offered Juno something no one expected. "Come with me, be royal chef of the other court. You will be safe, worshipped, protected." He smiled. "I don't want a palace, I want a stall." The queen paused, then bowed her head slightly. "In that case, I will eat here." And the most feared warrior in the galaxy sat on a wooden crate beside the food stall and waited patiently for her next dish. But in the darkness above Earth, far beyond her, ships, a new signal blinked. Another race had heard. And they weren't coming for flavor, they were coming for Juno. Inside the underground stall, silence hung heavy. Juno stood still, the pan in his hand. Valari froze. The alien girls looked at the queen. "What's a flame keeper?" one whispered. The queen stepped back, eyes locked on Juno. Her voice dropped. "It wasn't royal, It was afraid. In other scrolls, in forbidden libraries, there's a prophecy, one that speaks of a final fire kept not by armies, but by a cook. She looked around the room. Her voice shook now. He would carry the last true flame of flavor, not just to feed, but to heal civilizations, to end war with food, to make the violent feel love. And then she dropped to one knee. Yes. The War Queen knelt. Vlari gasped. Wait, you're saying Juno is that man? The Queen nodded. It is not just the food. It's the way he cooks it, with memory, with feeling, with history in every bite. She looked at him again. You're not just a survivor. You're the key to peace or war. Juno took a deep breath. No, he said calmly. I'm just a chef. I cook so people don't feel empty. The Queen replied. And that, Flame Keeper, is exactly why. The prophecy chose you. Suddenly the lab shook. Lights blinked. Smoke hissed from the vents. A red alarm flashed on the wall. Unidentified vessel inbound. Class, Void Reapers. Valari's face went pale. No, not them. Not now. Juno looked at the screen. 3 ships. Black. Silent. Not alive. Not dead. Who are they? He asked. Valari answered, her voice thin. Void Reapers. They don't eat food. They eat culture. They erase everything. Books, music, memories, even the smell of a flower. Gone. She turned to him. And they've come for you. Above Earth, the sky turned black. Like ink had spilled across space. The Queen stood again. Your stall is no longer just a stall, she said. It's a beacon. That smell, that warmth, it called them. Juno didn't speak. He walked to his counter, lit the stove. Turned the flame up. Then let them come hungry. Valari stepped beside him. But Juno, what can food do against void? He smiled, slowly. You'd be surprised what a warm meal can do to a cold heart. Down below, the machine stirred again. His mother's voice whispered, the final dish is ready. The Queen drew her sword. The alien girls formed a circle. And Juno reached for the oldest spice jar in the back. Dusty. Cracked. But still full of memory. Asterisk above Earth. The sky had vanished, replaced by a wall of black, alive and hungry. Below, in the hidden food stall, Juno stood in silence, his hands on the counter, the flame steady under his pan. Behind him, Valari and the other alien girls stood ready, blades drawn. The War Queen stood tall in front of them, armor glowing, eyes fierce. But Juno wasn't scared. He was cooking. Steam rose from the pan. Not just heat. History. He tossed in spices, each one with a story. Cumin from a forgotten earth garden. Salt that once came from the sea. Chili powder made by a grandmother who sang while she stirred. Valari stepped close. Juno, they're breaking through the sky. He didn't stop. He stirred slower. Gentler. This dish isn't for them. The War Queen turned. Then who is it for? He looked up, his eyes full of something they didn't expect. It's for everyone who lost something. As the Void Reapers landed, dark shapes. Long and silent, something strange happened. They didn't attack. They just stopped, sniffed the air. Something reached them. Not sound. Not light. Smell. Inside the stall, the memory oven opened. The final dish was ready. A glowing bowl of soup, golden bright, almost singing. It floated slightly, the steam forming shapes of faces, old homes, childhood memories. Juno carried it with both hands. He stepped outside, alone. The Reapers moved toward him, giants of shadow and smoke. They surrounded him. They looked like voids wearing armor. But then he placed the bowl on the ground. And stepped back. One taste, he said, then decide. One Reaper stepped forward. Its hand, if you could call it, that reached down. It touched the bowl. Paused. Then it dipped one long finger in the liquid and tasted. Nothing moved for 10 seconds. Then the Reaper glowed. Not red. Not evil, but yellow. Warm, like candlelight. It dropped to its knees, and from its chest, something fell. A small silver spoon. Valari gasped. They remember. One by one, the other Reapers tasted it. One by one, they changed. Not into humans. Not into friends, but into something feeling. They remembered the warmth of a mother's hand, a quiet kitchen, the sound of water boiling. They remembered what it meant to be alive. And then, They left. No battle. No fire. Just silence and wind. They flew away into the stars, carrying the memory with them. And Earth had been spared, not by sword, not by war, but by a chef and a final recipe. Epilogue. Weeks passed. The food stall grew bigger. Not just on Earth but across the stars. Aliens came not just to eat but to feel. Juno didn't become a king. He didn't leave Earth. He stayed in his little stall, beside his friends, cooking. Serving. Restoring. And every night, the galaxy whispered. After the apocalypse, one man stayed, one man cooked, and he made the universe feel whole again.